Welcome back to another episode of Premier League Talk, where we look at the weekend's fixtures, pick out three that we're going to discuss in this video. It's a great weekend in the Premier League, another thrilling round of football matches. So let's delve into my three that I picked out for this episode. We'll start with the 12:30 at St James's Park, Newcastle 2, Chelsea 2, in game of the weekend without a shadow of a doubt. These two sides were going hammer and tong at each other. In the first half, Newcastle went 2-0 up quite early on thanks to a double from Nick Voltemade before Chelsea managed to pull it back with a free kick from Reece James, which was an outrageous goal. What an effort that was from him. And then João Pedro was there to pounce and to stick it past. I think it was Aaron Ramsdale in goal for Newcastle. I think, yeah. To make it 2-2. And from that point on, it was a very even game. I think the one thing that we've got to talk about from this game was the absolute state of the Stonewall penalty that Newcastle should have been given. Chalobah comes completely across Gordon. Massive barge, no attempt to go for the ball whatsoever. It was utterly ridiculous that wasn't given. I mean, we've had a few dodgy ones this weekend. You think of Everton v Arsenal as well. But this one was outrageous. I mean, there is genuinely no attempt to play the ball whatsoever. And it's probably the most obvious one for a referee to be given in this, giving in this instance. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. I'm still amazed that it wasn't given. But, you know, at the end of the day, it didn't cost Newcastle. At the end of the day, it gave them a point. Probably should have had all three. I mean, the João Pedro goal, he does really well to spin the defender. I think it was Fabian Schär from a Robert Sanchez assist. But again, Newcastle, when you're 2-0 up at home, you go on and see the game out. And it's unfortunate that they drop points there. The Reece James goal was just unbelievable and fair play to him. I've seen a lot of Chelsea fans online try to claim that he is top 10 player in the world at the moment, or one Chelsea fan in particular. No chance, for my opinion. But I think he's top player, but just nowhere near that good. Yeah, I think, look, for both sides, Newcastle still not where they want to be, still around mid-table and lounging there. Obviously, they lost the time with Derby to Sunderland last weekend, which was not ideal for them. Nick Voltemade again scoring an own goal there. But, you know, for some reason, whenever they play like one of the big teams, the big six sides at home in the league, it's never, ever a dull game. And this one definitely delivered again. But they've got to work on it. Chelsea, though, they're now 7 points behind Aston Villa in third, and they're in fourth. So from all this talk about title race a few weeks ago, Chelsea got a chance to win the league. They've got a very complete squad. It's really fallen off, and I think it's going to be hard for them. Maybe not to catch Villa, because I do think at some point for Villa there will be a, not fall off, but a dip in form. You know, they've only won 10 in a row, which is incredible. There will be a dip at some point, but for them to catch Arsenal and Manchester City, I don't see that happening, to be honest. But it was a great effort from them. You know, the resilience to come back from 2-0 down at a place like St James's Park. It's really tough, and it's a really tough place to go with a bouncing crowd. So fair play to them. And you have to say a big, big point away from home. I mean, to get anything out of a game where you go 2-0 down quite early on is a really solid effort. So fair play to Chelsea. Poor from Newcastle again to let a lead slip, but building on their loss. So take a point. At the end of the day, it's better than nothing. What a result for Chelsea. Later that evening on Saturday night, we had Spurs 1, Liverpool 2 at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Again, another contender for game of the week. This was a fiery affair. I mean, tackles were flying in left, right and centre. 2 red cards in the form of Xavi Simons and Christian Romero, both seeing red for the home side. But the big talking point coming out of this game, again, it's another injury. Alexander Isak is apparently now out for a serious length of time with a suspected leg break. Obviously, he went to shoot for goal, missed the target, but Mickey van der Ven caught him in between both his legs with sort of a scissor tackle going to block the ball. Caught his leg completely, and it looked really nasty. I mean, they did bring a stretcher onto the pitch. He did manage to walk off the field, which is a positive sign for Liverpool, but it's not ideal for them whatsoever. I mean, the lucky thing is that they do have Hugo Ekitike, who they brought in the summer, who has really hit the ground running at Anfield when compared with his teammate. But Isak is just a player that you will miss no matter what. I mean, yes, he hasn't been in great form. The unfortunate thing is that he did score in the game. He gave Liverpool a 1-0 lead, and it was a great finish just to tuck it past Vicario into the far corner. And, you know, when your luck's not in, your luck's not in. And I think, to be honest, this season we just got to write it off for Isak. But moving on from that, Again, I don't think Liverpool were that great. I just think Tottenham are a really, really poor side, and they were punished here again. I mean, Richarlison gets one back with a consolation. Hugo Ekitike had doubled Liverpool's lead 10 minutes after Alexander Isak had given them the lead. Um, I'm still not too sure about Liverpool. I'm really not. I still think there are still certain weaknesses. Their defence still looks very shaky. Going forward, yes, they're as good as anyone with the likes of Ekatike, Salah, who's now gone to AFCON, obviously, so he won't be around. But Gakpo can come in, Chiesa can come in. They've got some very good quality attacking players, Verts, but it's the defence. And I think this again showed it 2 0 up, try and see out a clean sheet. They can't. Richarlison gets one back. But Spurs, on the other hand, blooming hell. I mean, I just don't. They're 14th now in the league, fallen so far from the start of the season when it looked really promising under Thomas Frank. Their home form is just appalling. 2 wins at home this season in the league, and it's now Christmas, is unbelievably bad form. And I believe they've only come against Wolves. No, not even Wolves. Who did they beat on the opening? Was it Burnley? Then they beat Burnley and they beat Brentford. So Thomas Frank's old side and one of the teams in the bottom three. So they really want to improve that if they want to rise up the league any further. But again, Liverpool, I think, yeah, Champions League should be on the cards here. Don't see them challenging for the title, make it come back into that conversation. Spurs, I'd be very surprised if they even got Europe. Again, it's a common theme I've been saying over the past few weeks. They just seem to be playing like a mid-table side set up to hit on the counter-attack. When you're the home side as a Big Six club, I feel like you should be more adventurous, more attacking, and more risky, fundamentally, going forward. So it's very strange, but we'll see what happens with them. Liverpool, though, massive 3 points on the road. You can't deny that. Good for their efforts. They're now fifth. They've suddenly come out of nowhere, leapfrog the likes of Manchester United. Yeah, they'll take all 3 points. And then finally, Aston Villa beat Manchester United 2-1 at Villa Park on our Super Sunday 4:30 kickoff. And when I say Aston Villa, I mean Morgan Rogers. He scored an absolute screamer just towards the end of the first half to give the home side the lead before Matthias Cunha pulled one back for United. And then Rogers, again, is there just to stick it in the far corner past Lamens to give Villa a 2-1 lead and ultimately the 3 points. Now, scoreline is very, very deceiving. We'll go with that. It's very, very deceiving. I thought United, for the majority of the game, were the better side. They looked more promising on the attack. They held the ball more. They were playing some good passes. It's their defence. And I'm going to pick on Lenny Yoro here. It's harsh because he's young, he's inexperienced, but twice he let Morgan Rogers get away from him. He stood off him, lets him cut inside and puts it in the far corner. And it's just poor. It really is just poor. I appreciate United are not gifted at the moment with injuries. De Ligt's out, Maguire's out, Casemiro was suspended, Kobbie Mainoo was apparently injured. Whether I believe that or not, I'm not sure. Bruno Fernandes went off injured at half time. That's a major talking point coming out of it for United. I mean, when do we ever see him go off injured? He pulled up with what looked like a hamstring pull towards the end of the first half and then didn't re-emerge for the second half. So really not promising for United. And they've got a very, very big clump of fixtures coming up right now, starting with Newcastle United at Old Trafford on Boxing Day. Performance-wise, though, I don't think they were that bad. Ugarte in the midfield was dreadful, but the likes of I thought Dorgu was exceptional. I thought he was giving it everything. Cunha again, first half I thought was brilliant. Second half, I agree with some people in that he kind of lost his head a bit. Sesko I thought looked very promising when he was on the pitch. Fernandes played well. Mount was excellent. Aiden Heaven I thought was brilliant. Lamens again, he just seems like a solid goalkeeping option. So I think there are positives to take for United, but they've got to work on that defence. They really do. And I mean, we say it all the time, it's the formation, but I think in this case, it was just individual errors. So they've got to work on that. Villa, on the other hand, what a talent they have on their hands. Morgan Rogers will 100% for me be my starting left winger at the World Cup. A lot of people have been trying to force him into the central attacking midfielder role, into a conversation with Bellingham, Foden and Palmer. I don't think he gets in over any of those three when he's got such a unique ability to be able to play on the left, unlike any of those three. And he gets in for me over Rashford or Gordon any day. So he should be on the left for me. But the rest of it, Villa, again, they didn't really seem to be able to cope. United just overloaded the midfield and it completely worked against Villa. And obviously they have kept pace with Arsenal and Manchester City. They're only 3 points off the top of the league and you never know what's going to happen. But they've got a very tough two games coming up. They've got to go to Stamford Bridge and then they've got to go to the Emirates. And I don't see them getting much out of those two games. So we'll see what happens, because obviously they've got a very good record at the Emirates over recent years. Stamford Bridge, not so much. And I think Chelsea will be up for it, having drawn with Newcastle. We'll see what happens. But yeah, massive, massive 3 points for the home side. And United, they've just got a lot to work on defensively. So another weekend of Premier League action comes to an end then. I will put the table on screen now. As we can see, Arsenal are still leading the way after beating Everton 1-0 away from home. They maintain their 2-point gap over Manchester City, who beat West Ham United 3-0 at the Etihad. Villa in third, Chelsea in fourth, Liverpool up to fifth now. Sunderland remain in sixth, even after a goalless draw away at Brighton. Manchester United remain in seventh, still within touching distance of the top four, only 3 points off it, even though they've drawn and lost their last two games. Crystal Palace in eighth. Brighton remain in ninth. They travel to the Emirates this weekend in what will be a very tough game for them, winless in their past four. Everton in 10th, Newcastle up to 11th, Brentford in 12th, having beaten Wolves 2-0 away from home. Wolves look set to break Derby's record at this point, if I'm honest. Fulham in 13th, having beaten Nottingham Forest 1-0 on Monday night. 14th place Spurs, dropping further and further down the table with one win in their last five. Bournemouth in 15th, winless since October, 3 draws in their last 3 games. They've really got to turn it around under Iraola. Leeds in 16th. They're up against Sunderland this weekend, but they did see off Crystal Palace 4-1 in a brilliant performance at Elland Road on Saturday night. Nottingham Forest in 17th. West Ham remain in the bottom 3 now, 5 points away from safety. It's looking desperate for Nuno's side. No wins in their past 5. Burnley in 19th, and then Wolves in 20th, still winless, only getting 2 points so far this season. And they take on Liverpool this weekend in what doubt will be a very, very tough fixture for them. But that is it for another episode of Premier League Talk. Thank you so much for watching. Feel free to like and subscribe if you like this and just want any other form of football news or cover it all. And I will see you in the next one.